Right. Let's see. Eric, are you with us? I think you are. Yes. Eric Seymour.
Yeah, Mike, I'm here. How are you?
Fine. You want me to do a screen share? Want to get set up?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be good.
All right. While Eric's doing that, he's going to be we'll end our meeting officially at 12:31. And we're going to segue to today's presentation, getting to know our National Weather Service coordinator, or let me get the right title out. Warning coordination meteorologist. For the old school folks here, that would have been Bill Samler way back in the day. He has since retired. So this is Eric Seymour, who has either taken the place from someone else that had occupied that position, but nice to have you with us today.
All right, thanks, Mike. Yeah, I replaced Bill. Just give you a little bit of my background. While Bill was here, I was actually the service hydrologist. So I spent almost 10 years doing in that position. So dealt with a lot of water issues. So a lot of flooding things, working with coastal flooding, working with river flooding, and now I'm back in the full capacity of all aspects of weather, not just the flooding part. So glad to be with you guys today. I shared my screen. I'm just kind of just to let you know, Mike and I had talked, before in trying to figure out what we wanted to talk about. And he gave me kind of a list of some topics to cover and questions. So I'm going to kind of move through those and hopefully get you guys kind of up to speed on kind of where things are with weather radios and with kind of how we're doing things these days. So the list that you see right there, those are our 7 radios that we have out right now. 2 of them, Margarettsville and Windsor, are actually down just in North Carolina, but they're especially Margarettsville's coverage area actually goes into Virginia, so it does hit a lot of Greensville County in those southern parts of our area. Overall, the top 5 there are all 1,000 watts transmitters. Margarettsville and Windsor are 300-watt transmitters. Good thing is we're actually about ready to add one more weather radio in. That's going to be coming probably somewhere later in the spring. We're kind of dealing with several different issues right now as far as getting equipment in. It would help if we could get a federal budget passed so we could actually start moving forward with that. Some of those funds are kind of being held until we actually get an actual budget in place. So, but right now, the transmitter is going to go in Providence Forge. It's going to be 1,000-watt transmitter. It'll be broadcasting on 162.5, and the call sign for the site is KAE 42. So that'll be the new transmitter that's going in. A lot of it's going to help us on the peninsula. We get a lot better coverage down there. We've known there's been a hole there for a while. So this transmitter going in is really going to help that area. So when you start getting into Williamsburg down to Hampton Roads, or getting into Newport News, those areas, it's going to make it a lot better. So it's been something we've been working on for a while. We thought at one point that it wasn't going to happen, and then kind of middle of last year, all of a sudden it was like all the pieces came together. So it's just right now it's a matter of getting the work done. All the leases have been signed and all that good stuff. So that's going to be one of those really cool things that'll be coming up in the next year or so. I was going to share this. This is one of the pages when I started looking at stuff yesterday. You can get to this. This is the weather radio page for the National Weather Service. So it's just weather.gov/NWR. That'll get you there. But as I started looking around, I started saying, what do our actual mapping look like of the different transmitters? So this is the Richmond transmitter, which is actually worked in coordination between us and the state police. So you can see the area, the coverage area. You can see the counties that would be tone alerted when products go out. This is a real good map, and you can use this anywhere in the country too. So it's not just for our area, but you can go in and actually go in and put in for Find My Station, and you can put in anywhere in the country to see what weather radio covers that area and what coverage area they have. So I thought it was a really good tool. that was in there that you could find. So again, you can get that off the main weather radio page of just Find My Station. So I thought that was really something that was really kind of cool to be able to see. The next question that Mike had for me was, what weather alerts are transmitted by our office? So generally speaking, the list would be tornado watch warning, severe thunderstorm watch warning, hurricane watch warning, tropical storm watch warning falls in there as well. Storm surge watch warning. I think it's this past year with Ophelia is kind of it's been a while since we've issued one of those. So we know we said a lot of folks had their phones go off and things like that when we issued that one. So that one did kind of catch people a little bit by surprise. Flash flood watch warnings, winter storm warnings. I did look that up. The watches with the winter storm products don't alert, but the warnings do. So those are generally the things that we're going to send out that we control as far as issuing that are going to alert. Could there be one or two other things? Yeah, there could, but I think these are generally the ones. And typically it's the things that are going to be impacting life and property. Those are the things where we're going to be tone alerting products out there. So, that really hasn't changed. That's something that's, been in place for quite some time. When it comes to the non-weather alerts, there's a lot of different things out there, whether it be the child abduction emergency, civil danger emergency, telephone outage emergencies, those different kind of things. I think there's some things that have changed. I was looking back through some of our stuff, and some of our stuff is probably, as far as like directions go, it's probably, 8 to 10 years old at this point. It talked about localities sending us stuff and then us putting it together and sending out. But with things coming with iPaws and things of that nature, a lot of localities now have the ability just to create the product themselves and send it. So they can send it, they can include us on it. And when they do, it's going to come into our weather radio browser. So our forecast, it's going to stop there. Our forecaster's got to look at it, take a quick read, make sure it's legitimate, that it needs to be sent out, and then they send it on its way. So in the time I've been here, almost 15 years, I don't remember us actually having done that. Okay. So I don't even, I've actually talked with a couple of the counties, and we've actually talked about maybe trying to do a test case just to see how it would work, how it would go through. But right now we haven't really done that. So, and I think a lot of this is changing too, not only with EAS, but then also with the wireless emergency alerts as well. So much of the technology changing. I think we can get to a lot more folks a lot faster with the wireless emergency alerts now. So I think that's been one of the things that's really been kind of changing. I do know I was talking with some of the folks, Richard Troshek up at VDEM, because they were going through and trying to map out different plans for different communication methods should the initial and what we were dealing with there was dealing with the power plants. If something happened at one of the power plants, whether it be Surrey, North Anna, and we had to try to get information out to people quickly. One of the things that we did talk about was using weather radio. It is a backup that's in their system now. So, but again, if they're going to do it, they would be sending the message out through iPaws to get it into our system and then to push it out to the folks. So, that's kind of one of those things. Weather radio is still there. It's available, but it's kind of become more and more of a backup system as opposed to being a primary way to get some of these non-weather alert information out to the public. We still issue the weekly test. The weekly test goes out usually somewhere around 11:30 in the morning on Wednesdays. And if we do happen to have severe weather expected that day, sometimes we'll push it back one day. One of the things that we've noted, and this is actually on the page here, I was going to click on this tab. Some of the weather radios actually have an issue if we don't send that test message out. It actually will start beeping and things of that nature. And we've actually had emergency managers call us on that. And as it turned out, when that happened, that one event, we realized we had pushed it back a day. And then the next day, the day shift didn't send the test out. So we actually didn't have a test go out at all. So it had been longer than the 10-day period. So the weather radio started to act up. So that's one of those things. If we don't send the test out, it will have an impact on the weather radios. So that's something that we have to be cognizant of. So if we do have to push it back a day because Wednesday is not good because of what's going on weather-wise, as long as we get it in on Thursday or Friday that week, the weather radios, usually won't react. But otherwise, if they don't have a test message or they don't actually receive a true, watch or warning type of a product to let them know that they're working properly, then we'll start getting that beeping message in the phone. So, or in the radios, excuse me. So, that's one of those things that is going on with the weekly test that we have to be cognizant of to make sure we get it sent out each week. On the required monthly test, typically when I first got in, the state committee kind of took care of when those tests would occur. And they've now transitioned that over to VDEM. So VDEM is now in control. So the situational awareness unit is the group that send it out, and they send those out through via IPAWS, except for the month of March. The month of March actually is actually originated through the Weather Service, because we're using the RMT as a trigger for the annual tornado drill. So we've gotten away from using a live code to do the tornado drill, and we're using the RMT. So when we do it, we're really encouraging folks who have weather radios to turn them on, because they're not going to come on automatically when we send the RMT out. So we encourage folks, turn your radio on about 5 minutes before, especially if you're participating in the tornado drill. And when you hear the message come across, the message is going to come from us, and we're telling people, hey, this is time to go ahead and activate your tornado drill plan and go ahead and participate. So that's the one time, and we do it in March. Usually it's the first Tuesday in March is when we do it. So I'm actually trying to work, get a hold right now of Bill Fawcett and make sure I've got the right date before we start pushing that out there for the spring. But so that's what's going on with the RMTs. From a migration standpoint, on how we transmit to our weather radios, the one that's in Driver or in Norfolk is actually being done via cellular technology now. And part of that was because one of the phone circuits was going away. So they went ahead and made that transition. Now, the rest of ours are still on phone lines, and they're going to remain that way until such time that we're kind of forced to make that transition, or at least that's the current plan. So talking with the techs in our office, that's what they told me. I think actually the new site that's going in, though, I think we may actually do that one via the cellular technology. Outside of that, the other ones will remain how they are. Now, the weather radio that's in Richmond is actually done through a unique method in the fact that it's actually done through microwave technology with the state police. So we actually send it up through a microwave link, and they get it, process it, and then put it out on the radio. So that one is a little bit different. But outside of that, the rest of the radios right now are still on phone lines. So if we do have issues, we're having to work usually with Verizon to try to find out where the problem is, in between us transmitting from the office and the receiver at the site getting the information. So that's kind of how we're working there. The last thing I wanted to mention was NWS Slack 2.0. This is kind of a new chat message server that we've put in place back in July. The only folks that are in this, okay, are core weather service partners. So it's, folks that are involved with the media, and media can be both radio and, and TV. So it's not just, the TV Mets, but it's also, the weather service, and it's your local emergency and state emergency management group. So those are the folks that are in there. And what we're using this for is a way to be able to communicate. Right now, weather's been very benign, so folks are doing other things other than weather-related emergencies. So there's not a lot of discussions going on about, potential issues in that respect. So what we're posting in here right now, generally speaking, you see today, this was our weekly weather briefing that we sent out this morning. So it's about the next 7 days. It's an outlook of what's going on in the next 7 days. Each morning, usually we're sending out part of our weather story as a graphic and what's to expect for that day. Just so folks are seeing what's going on, what we're trying to communicate weather-wise. Now, when we had Ophelia move in late September, there was a lot more discussion going on. We were getting a lot more questions from partners as far as, hey, we've got this going on. What are you guys expecting? Those kind of things. So that's what this is intended for. This is intended for us to have a way to communicate with our core partners, and not only share weather information, but also, if there's damage that's occurred, we want to know that. That's important information for us. So, and you can, since you can add pictures to this, which is really nice. If folks are out somewhere, they take a picture of what the damage is, they can go on and, I've got right now I've got the PC based version up, but there's actually a app for this as well that you can have on your phone. You can take a picture from your phone, put it in the app, and send it in, and boom, we have it, and it goes. So, there's a lot of really cool functionality. We have the ability to do exercises. So if we're doing some sort of tabletop, we can come into the exercise room and we can use the exercise room just like it's real time and go, and do it that way. So, that's kind of something I think, depending upon, I know a lot of folks are doing a lot of different exercises. I've worked a lot of exercises this year, from tornadoes to severe weather to flooding, helping localities go through those, and we didn't really have this at that time. Well, now that we have this, we can even come in here, we can, admit the folks that need to come in, and we can go ahead and actually kind of handle an exercise and use this for a communication tool. So, that's another option that's there as well. We also have a data feed option. So, if you want to see what products that we've issued, you can see those products that are in here. So, if we've, let's say we issued a tornado warning, but you guys aren't seeing it in your system, you can come in here, you can come in and look and see that that product's been issued, and then look for the corresponding product in your system. And then if there is a problem where you guys aren't getting something that we've sent out, you can go back into the main room, the WFO, the Wakefield VA room, and you can let us know right in there, hey, you guys, we didn't receive this warning in our system. Let's, so we can start trying to look and try to fine tune and find out where the problem may be located. So, this is one of those new tools, and as it evolves, I think we're going to find more and more things that we can take a look at. And this isn't only just for the Wakefield office. So, if you've got areas that are part of, and I'm going to scroll down to, the Blacksburg, Virginia, if you got some of your communications are in those areas, you can go over and see what's in their forecast area as well. So, there's a lot of different things, ways to communicate, not only with our office, but with the surrounding offices through NWS chat. So, if you need to sign up for that, I'll send Mike the link so that you guys can do that, and we can go from there. So, Mike, I think that's everything I've got.
Great. Hey, I've actually signed up for the National Weather Service chat. I think it's a wonderful service. I didn't realize that the data feed is where the channel was intended for me comparing, with an alert we would have received. Would you guys even send notification of the weekly tests that way? I'm thinking not.
It depends. I think what we would have to do, we can program it to do it. I would have to check with the guy who set it all up, as far as what that product is. But that may not be a bad idea to go ahead and put that RWT in there.
If it's not too much trouble, because then at that point, like you said, that one example where there wasn't a test sent, if I note that, I can take a look before bothering anyone.
Yeah, so let me follow up on that, and I'll see if we can't get that added into the data feed.
Great. Does anyone have questions? And I just want to preface that it's 12:49, and we've got a second portion to this presentation today. Any questions for Eric?
I was kind of wondering, did you guys have to do anything different for the national test on October 4th?
No, we didn't have to do anything on that test, because that was completely through FEMA and IPAWS. So yeah, we didn't have.
Gotcha.
I don't even think that even came into our weather radio. I think they sent it out through WEA.
Question. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? All right. We're going to go to the second part of our presentation today, and I've got a good longtime friend, Dan Gropper with Thunder Eagle. Thunder Eagle is a wireless alerting service that Dan has designed these radios since I met him in 2001. And his radios typically go into the emergency management offices, the school systems. I actually have one. And you are with us still, right, Dan?
I'm here.
Great. So Dan is going to talk to us about EAS, the nuts and bolts. And some of you are very, very familiar with EAS, but we've got to keep in mind that a lot of our chapter members are newer to this. And when we discussed EAS 23 years ago and learned all the nuts and bolts back then, some people still aren't familiar with not only what EAS is, which I hope everyone knows, but how exactly it works and how it is applied. And Dan is a weather weenie. I can say that because I'm his good buddy, and he's self-professed, and he's really into these EAS alerts, especially how they are disseminated from the National Weather Service. So Dan's gonna, he's got a lot of slides. He's gonna try and slide through them as quickly as he can, but hopefully educating or re-educating us today. So take it away, Dan, and we need to do a screen share.
Okay. Are we sharing?
Yep, got it.
Okay. Are we up?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Most important thing, what time is quitting time?
We'll say by 1:30.
Not a problem. We'll make it happen. First, I want to say to Eric and all the broadcasters, thank you for keeping it together, and specifically during COVID. You kept everything on the air when everyone was totally freaked, and you kept your stuff running. I just want to tell you, it was very appreciated when everything was breaking loose, that everything was going. And for Eric, well, you've worked with Bill Samler in Wakefield, and it's an office that is really important, and there's a lot of big time stuff always going on down there. So thank you much. First, I always have to do the official disclaimer. All opinions of my own. You should feel free to disagree with me. By the way, Bill Samler always disagreed with me for at least 25 years. And same in EAS are evolving systems. And that's important to remember, especially as we go to WEA and things like that. Here's my sort of overview. Despite all the recent technological advances, satellite, cell phone, internet, WEA, no weather radio still remains relevant. Large storms, telecom infrastructure often fails. No weather radio is simple point-to-point communication. No weather radio can be on simple receivers and apps on cell phones. The big thing, believe it or not, because you have so much water down there between Richmond and Tidewater, is it covers marine areas which may have limited cell and internet, and no weather radio is very important for special marine warnings. And as the nor'easters and the hurricanes come through, satellite reception does require specialized equipment. On a very high level, EAS was primarily designed for those broadcasters, Connell Rad, remember those fun days, duck and cover, for the president to communicate with the people in times of emergency. And now the emergency alert system, the Weather Service joins that. Real quickly, what is the emergency alert system? Here's a question I had for years. How does SAME, which is the Weather Service's version, no weather radio, fit into the emergency alert system, which Eric, a lot of our things will happily overlap nicely. What's the technical format of an EAS message, especially if one burps? Trying to know what the codes are supposed to look like is really important, where to come from. What are some current issues with EAS? The use of low power AM radio to inform travelers of emergency and severe weather, which, by the way, now permits no weather radio on it. And the use of no weather radio to place tornado warnings on factory, school, public address systems, unlock FEMA tornado shelters. That's the stuff we do at the very, very end. Like all government charts, this has lots of things in arrows, but as mentioned earlier, VDEM generally is the central part in Virginia that issues stuff. State and local governments and the Amber Alerts goes through the Weather Service for delivery to the public. On the other side is the EAS, where the president, through FEMA, Homeland Security, broadcasters, with you guys come in, and then the inter-broadcaster relay, which I don't know if it's as important as it used to be, because now we have lots and lots of internet and other pathways. Here's a real, and I'll make this Mike has the PDF of this. So, and Mike, great idea to put the QR code. A really good Virginia website for the emergency alert plan is this JMU site. One thing, I've been doing this for 30 years, and it's kind of fun to see some of the things I've advocated for are now reality. So a quick question for Eric, if you're still there. Are Amber Alerts now coming through No Weather Radio in Virginia?
No, it's all state police and all through WEA. So I think we're at backup if they need to send it into us, but we're not the primary method.
Right. So the thing was, on the state plan, when I was getting ready for this, it is at least permitted to be carried on No Weather Radio. My question is, was it? But that's a big improvement. So that's good.
Hey, by the way, the reason that went away is because we have iPods now. So like Eric said, they might be the backup, but everything disseminates. I'd sent you a graphic of that, Dan, and everything just comes from FEMA now, or the state agency.
Right. And so the question was, it also carried on No Weather Radio. But the thing is, it now can be. So
Yep.
There you go. So next up, just for databases, we put together a database to be able to, there is one on the Weather Service site. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to use. Here's an easier one. Feel free to use it. Searching for, when someone says, what FIPS code do I need for, by my zip code, city, town name, or even by a FIPS code, what transmitters does it cover? Here's a nice way to easily to find it. Here are the event codes and the weather, again, touching on what Eric did, weather event codes, non-weather, and EAS administrative stuff. Nice little link for that. This is an important question that came up in this conversation, that the Weather Service very seldomly uses the RMT, the required monthly test. The broadcasters do use that on the EAS. The Weather Service primarily, as Eric mentioned, uses the required weekly test. So this is not widely known, and very often you'll have people want to program the RMT into their No Weather Radio, and then it doesn't work. So this is the reason why. Here's a list of the event codes, as Eric mentioned. The snow squall warning was really important one, a new one that was added. The non-weather events, here when I was putting this together, I'd never even heard of the blue alert for law enforcement danger, but that was a new one. But here are the non-weather events. Next up, the real EAS stuff. If these actual messages come through, EAN, that's probably the big one, near as I can tell. Not a good message. Okay, Eric mentioned the statewide tornado drill. This is last year's. It does come through No Weather Radio. Some offices do use the tornado warning, which tends to cause great frustration, but will activate your radio. And so it's been an ongoing discussion of whether to use TOR or RMT. All right, here's the techie stuff. The ZCZC goes back to teletype days. That's the initial header. Org is like WXR for NWS. The E's are the events. The next is a 6-digit code. Just about all counties in the country start with a 0. 51 will be Virginia, and 059 will be Fairfax County. 051000 is the Virginia statewide code. So for things like Amber Alerts or big stuff, it's 051000. Now, people, again, will almost never program in 051000 into their radio. So if the message is transmitted only using the statewide code and their radio is not programmed to receive it, it probably won't. Just something to remember. TTT is the expiration time of the event, which we'll talk about a bit more. The J's are the Julian calendar. January is the first day. HHMM is the Zulu time of issuance. The L's are the originator call sign, followed by, in this case, NWS. Okay, and even though I know everyone's heard it, I won't play the whole thing, but in case you haven't, this is what it sounds like.
I think it played when you were speaking.
And then the alert tone.
We ended up not hearing that. It's coming
Okay.
from the computer.
So that's a dead. All right. Anyhow, that's what it sounds like. So this is what a real message looks like. With a tornado warning for Fairfax County, Fairfax City, Falls Church City. In Virginia, the cities are separate legal entities from the counties they sit in. Time is an hour and 30 minutes. And then the 190th day, there are no years, the Zulu time and who it's issued by. Each EAS message can have up to 31 counties. As Eric said, mostly between 11 and noon during good weather days. And it should have all counties that are covered by each transmitter. And hopefully if they do the statewide, they'll do the individual counties in addition to the statewide code. Here's a really, really, really important one for you broadcasters. Do not transmit false EAS codes. Here are a couple of the things of, the FCC is quite serious about this. They're nailing Fox for $500,000 and other things here. So just please remember, it could be a really, really bad day if some non-for-real EAS message gets out on your broadcast. FCC is really, really unhappy with that. This is actually a new important one. I'm going to go back to Eric on this one. As of July 2023, in addition, no weather radio, no matter how long the alert was, especially the big ones like hurricane watches, tropical storm watches and warnings would go out 36, 48 hours, but the Weather Service would not transmit the expiration for any more than 6 hours. But as of July 2023, they were supposed to be able to go up to 99.5. So let me throw this one back to Eric. And or have we started doing this? Yes? No? Are we frozen?
You're doing fine.
Oh, am I okay? I thought
Yeah.
we froze.
No. Nope.
No. Okay. Anyhow, so question for Eric: have we started transmitting the actual? Have we started transmitting the actual duration?
I don't think he's with us now. I just did a search.
Oh,
I
okay.
think he's off the call.
Yep.
Okay. Well, anyhow, this is actually important because this will feed into your EAS systems. All right. So at one point, it caused great consternation where no weather radio would say the hurricane warning is for 6 hours, but the actual message is for 36 or 48. So as of July 2023, it is supposed to be the actual time. So that's an important one. This is another hiccup to the EAS. I advocated for it. The FCC said it was a good idea, but that was 22 years ago. There's no cancellation code for EAS. Okay, there's no effective way to cancel a warning that's either issued in error or the time's expired earlier than expected. Now, the cancellations do come up on the text messages, but they do not go out on no weather radio or the EAS. There is no CAN. Low power radio stations, this was another thing with the FCC as a 7-year rulemaking, but like on 64, which runs between Richmond and Virginia Beach, where they can reverse the lanes, there are a whole bunch of, by the side of the road, tune your car to 1620 AM low power. No weather radio is now permitted to be transmitted on that. And when the rulemaking is, if there's ever a big hurricane and they reverse the lanes going toward Richmond, then they could use these radios to say where it's traffic, food, water, bathrooms, and how to get off it, and also for weather. So, it was 10 years ago, but this is now permitted by the FCC to use these low power radios. And you can carry no weather radio, just not full time. That's how the rulemaking got started. A county in California decided to go full time. The idea is to deliver the messages, and you guys are great at integration. So putting tornado warnings on school and factory PA systems. Many fire alarm systems are now public address systems. So no weather radio is now going on the alternate channel for fire alarm systems. Many factories have land mobile radios who hook into no weather radio. And so it's good. Out in FEMA's put up a whole bunch, some federally funded tornado shelters, especially around called mobile homes or manufactured homes. And so no weather radio can be used to automatically unlock the shelter. And that's it. Done. I'll go back to Mike. Is Mike here?
It looks like Mike may have stepped away for a minute, turned off his video.
Okay. So I'll throw it out for questions.
I quite literally stepped away for a bathroom break. Thank you very much, Dan. Hey, are there any questions for Dan with anything he's discussed? He's been involved with EAS and even some of the rulemaking through the FCC, so he does have a knowledge. Any questions for him? Man, Dan, you wrapped that up much quicker than I thought. That's great. Good job.
Well, you guys are outstanding. You really help to hold everybody together. And the EAS is, believe it or not, an important part of your FCC license. That public service is part of your public broadcasting license. And I love that you take it so seriously. So thank you.
Hey, thank you very much.